How you doing, guys? This is Hybridsteel. Welcome to another Hydroneer 2.0 video, and today we're going to be talking about smelters. And the reason why is because each has its own pros and cons, and the reason why I specifically use the things I do. Alright, so I just want to... Basically, it's like an info talky heady video, apart from him down in the corner. How you doing? So the reason why I'm doing this is because obviously there are three sort of like tiers to smelters. There's the basic crucible with a furnace, there's the actual smelter, and then there's the logic smelter. And each one comes with its own pros and cons. So let's work from the bottom, shall we? Number one, to use a furnace as a smelter, you have two options. You can either place the furnace and then place this on top, and it goes a bit wobbly. Now when you want to set this up next to an actual like run, like I tend to do, it gets a bit dodgy. And the only way to really do it is to bury it and hope that it sort of makes a bit more sense. Now, give me a second, we'll head to an actual build. Here's one I made earlier. So if you recognise this video, this is from a really early video about how to expand. So the best way to do this is actually like this. So when you're feeding off of belts and stuff, you're actually like trying to place the crucible as close to it as possible. Okay, so obviously there's a mod out there called the RTY tool, which I have covered in a previous video, and basically it's this. Also comes with a fancy hat if you really want to wear it. And now you could quite happily, you know, let's just put this in. You can quite happily put the furnace under to heat up the crucible like this. But with this new mod, you can do it a little bit differently. Now, it works a little bit well, but sort of different, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so we'll click this. Ah, there we go. There you go. So all I do is replace the crucible. And like I said, we can have this like this. So if we wanted to quickly change this over with this here, I mean, obviously you're going to have another one here as well. So let me just change this up. There we go. So then you could have both like that. You know, you've got choices, but that's just with a mod. If you're just playing with this vanilla, in all honesty, putting it underground is completely fine. And at the end of the day, it's a really good way to keep things going, and actually not a bad way to do things. Downside is you do need a mold. Now, what I will do, I'll leave it here. I'll show you how to set this up. We just need to go back now. Okie dokie. So in order for you to set this up, it's actually really simple. Take a furnace and bury it in the floor, like so. Now, if you're a little bit iffy like myself, I tend to dig around it just in case it does go under the floor and I can't get to it. Then chuck a concrete block over the top, actually creating a flat surface, and that's just ideal. And then you chuck your crucible as close to the center as possible, and there you go. All good. Now, the only downside to this is you have to make your own blocks, which, you know, can be a little bit of a laborious task over time. But apart from that, it's one of the best ways to actually make your your actual bars right at the beginning. Even if it does take time, it's still quite handy. The other plus side to this is if you're smelting with the blacksmith soup idea, which is to put everything into a pan and then just smack it up. This is a really good way to actually heat up a pan as well, because all you have to do is take off the crucible, put a pan on top, and then just let it cook, and then like use it as on the anvil as well. So yeah, that would be number one. That would be sort of how I would start this game as well. So if you're interested and you're at the beginning, one of the best ways to do stuff without spending a shed ton of cash. It's pretty simple, pretty easy, and pretty cheap to like get as well. So it's all good. All that equipment is all at the beginning plot. You don't have to go anywhere else to pick things up. Number two, the actual smelter. Now, I tend to stop at this point. Now, the reason why I tend to stop at this point is because once you've placed this next to, well, let's say you've got a conveyor belt going over the top of here. Once you've placed this down, this works as an infinite cauldron to like smelting. All you have to do is just fill it up with elements and then push the button, and a bar automatically appears in front of you. Now, the only difference between this and that, which is the auto smelter, is that you have to do this manually by pushing the button, and then it will tip forwards. That's the only real major difference. The pro to this is that it doesn't get hurt by damage, unlike that, and we'll get into that in a second. Now, when it does come to the actual smelter, I actually really do like the design as well. I like the fact that we actually have a moving part, and it actually sort of looks like the, I don't know, I like the aesthetic of it when it compares to the actual game as well. Now, this has an infinite fill, pretty much like the Crucible. It just makes a bar and it's all good. At the end of the day, that's pretty much all I expect from something like this. Now for the auto smelter. The auto smelter is logic based only. There's no lever to make this like do properly unless you're like me. You set the lever up because you're simple minded. Don't worry, there's no shame in that. It just means that you haven't got the brain to logic like myself. Unfortunately, it's just a curse in this game because some things sort of you need logic. But this is one of them, and it's a bit of a bugger. The reason why this is, I would say it's a pro, I mean it does work. The con is it gets hurt. Now for every sort of 200 to 300 ores, you're probably looking at repairing this, and unfortunately that's just the way this game is. Now people, when I made this, people were just like, you need to set up the auto repair as well. I can't be asked. That's how lazy I am. So I had all this set up, and all I literally have to do is pull this lever, and then it all opens up and Bob's your uncle, and then I'm done. I don't have to worry about it anymore, and that's why I can set up this auto system. As I said, the downside to this is it does get hurt. So when you're using it constantly, let me just bring in a thingy. So as you can see, 98%, 49%, 86% and 50%. At some point I'm gonna have to throw a load of spanners at it, but for now it's doing the job and I really don't care. Again, I'm in creative mode, I'll just spawn another one in, doesn't bother me. But if I was playing this game as a normal person who's like trying to enjoy this game, I wouldn't touch these auto smelters, mainly because they get hurt and it's more spanners I'm gonna have to throw at the game, quite literally. So, and the other thing is you have to alter your build quite a lot. In order to get this up to this level, you have to build up, or you bury the smelter into the floor, which means you have to build a conveyor belt out. Again, lots of other little factors that you're going to be doing here, because with this, they literally sit at that floor level, and you just throw stuff into it, and you don't have to worry about this extra square. I mean, if you're paranoid about it, you can use a funnel, but this is why I prefer the normal smelter over the auto smelter. I don't really have to do a lot of prep work, it just works, in all fairness. So, out of them all, I mean, if you're just starting this game out, and don't be in a rush to do this, like, don't be in a rush to upgrade. It, you know, it's thousands in comparison to hundreds. So here's the jump. Let's say 100 quid for this setup. For a new person playing this game, ideal, and you can't really go wrong with it. And let's step it up to the smelter. This is about 13.50 a smelter, so it's a good step up, and in honesty this is where I'd like to stop. That's just me though, you can do what you like, it's your game. But these are 17.5 grand each. Now if you've got the expendable income and you don't really give a rat's ass anymore, ideal, spend your money, it's all good. Don't forget to set up the auto repair function. And if you don't know what that is, then go and get yourself an auto repair guide. I do have one, but there are other people that do it as well. And at the end of the day, that's the only reason why you'd buy these. I've got the money, I don't really care anymore, it's all good. The only downside is that the actual mechanism, it sort of just spits things out, and that's why I have this conveyor belt here to actually like feed this into an actual belt so I can collect them. But you can play this how you like and do how you like, but that's the difference. Like real cheap to like mid-level to like stupidly expensive. But at the end of the day, it's whatever you want to do, and it's all up to you. Hopefully this guide, it's not really a guide, it's more just a talky video about it, but this is just one thing that I wanted to address, because there are pros and cons for the whole thing. You know, I mean, the pros and cons for this is cheap, which is a good thing, it's small, which is ideal, and okay, yeah, the downside, you have to do a lot of manual messing around, like, you know, making your own bars out of the actual crucible. This, all I literally have to do is push the button and out comes a bar. Downside, it's not heated and it's all bad. This, I think this has the most cons about it. Number one, you have to wire it up to a logic system or even just a lever just to make it work. Number two, it gets hurt when it's smelting stuff, so it's just a lot of effort that's going to go into repairing it as well. Well, I say not a lot of effort. You're going to be spending some time repairing this. It's going to push out the bars as well, and it's all right. The other side is you have to alter your build so much just to get the ore up to that point. So if you want to put the extra work in, you want to spend 17.5 grand per drill, well, per smelter, go for it. Be happy. You've got the expendable income. It's all fine and dandy. But me personally, I like to try and keep my areas sort of like smallish. You know, so I mean, if I wanted to, I could build a blacksmith area around this. But that's just the way I see things. At the end of the day, you make your own choice, you make your own game, and it's all good. So thank you very much for kicking by. This has been Hybridsteel. Hopefully you've learnt something maybe, or you've just enjoyed the video. If you have, don't forget to hit that like, subscribe and notification button below for all other updates. And I'll be back here with a brand new video, live stream, or whatever else I do on this channel. Until then, thank you very much for kicking by. Peace out, have fun, enjoy everything you guys do. Ah boom! Fist bump to you.